Student loan forgiveness program is a scam, according to financial expert Dave Ramsey. So, best-selling author and financial expert Dave Ramsey called the Public Service Loan Forgiveness, the PSLF program, a scam on Mornings with Maria Thursday, noting that only 2% of applicants get approved for relief. 98% of the people that applied for that so far have not gotten forgiveness. Only 2%, that's known as a scam, Ramsey said of the U.S. Department of Education data, or the DOE. Ramsey's comments come as the DOE under President Biden announced it would waive more than $11 billion in student loans. The department revealed that $7.1 billion was canceled for disabled borrowers and $1.1 billion for students misled by fraudulent institutions. The $11.5 billion was a normal course of business, Ramsey told Fox Business' Dagan McDowell. If you become disabled, you have always gotten your student loans canceled. If you got defrauded by a school that went out of business, you get that student loan canceled. And that is true, right? These are like the few very specific circumstances where your student loan can literally just be snapped away. Like, these are literally basically the only ways that your student loan debt can truly, due to no effort on your own, in a sense, be just completely gone. Now, you still got to go through the process of applying through it, which could be a hassle. But these are like really the only legitimate government programs / like legal aspect of forgiving student loan, other than just paying it off. But Ramsey believes the public service student loan forgiveness program is misleading and inefficient as proved by its applicant approval rate. The loan cancellation that Democrats are all bragging about, that doesn't work, he said. Progressive lawmakers, including Reps Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Ilhan Omar, pressured the Biden administration Wednesday to release a memo outlining the president's legal authority to cancel student loans. Ramsey further emphasized that politicians in the higher education system have overlooked trade programs and vocational schools. America put its nose in the air and snubbed anyone who didn't get a 4-year degree for the last 5 generations. He argued, adding that it became a thing that if you didn't go to college, you weren't going to be successful. He insisted that the societal need for higher education is a culture-wide con. The victims are 18-year-olds in this, and it's sad, Ramsey said. They're delaying having kids, they're delaying getting married, they're delaying buying houses because they're swamped and covered up and overwhelmed with this debt that they signed up for and did what everybody told them to do, he continued. And here's the thing, I completely agree with that, because when you go through high school, right, 99% of the time, on every facet of life, you are told, go to a university, right? You are told you have to get student loans. You are told the only way for you to make a good living is through university. The only way for you to actually become successful is through college. The only way that you basically are not a worthless piece of crap is by going to college, by any means, right? That is said to so many people, to so many students, to the point that they are listening to that so many times that they end up getting brainwashed, and they're thinking that is the only possible path to them, and it ends up completely screwing them up. But not to mention, it can also screw up their parents as well, depending how they end up getting the loans, right? If you do like a Parent Plus loan, that could end up screwing the parent. And it could also end up screwing the like familial relationship from parents to kids, because both sides will think that the other screwed them, right? Ramsey believes that education is important, but students should be wary of overpaying for it. It's an irony of ironies that in America we're stupid about education, he added. And here's the thing, I completely agree, right? Because the thing that you got to understand, right? There's nothing wrong with technically going to a university to get your 4-year degree, or to get your graduate, or to get your master's, or to get your doctorate, or to get, a specific degree for like a specific job, like being a doctor, dentist, lawyer, financial advisor, all that kind of stuff, right? There's nothing wrong with going down that path. That being said, it's pushed so hard that the only possible way to go to college is through student loans. And that is not the case. Many people do not understand that you could actually go to a community college for 2 years and then transfer up to the university, basically of your choice, especially if it's a state university, for in-state tuition, which is cheaper than, out-of-state tuition. For example, right, you could technically move to a state, go to community college for like 2 years, basically establishing a residency within that state, and then basically transferring into a major university at in-state tuition, which could save hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? But not only that, it's still cheaper for someone who has lived in, let's just say, like Tennessee, to go to a public university, or public college, like community college, for 2 years, get their associate's degree, transfer up to their university, basically save literally like half of the tuition cost because they went to community college, which in many states it's extremely cheap, and also in some states it's actually 100% free, right? I believe in California it's actually 100% free for you to actually go to community college, right? So there's different ways to really go about it. You just got to be aware of it and take the steps. Not to mention, you also have the ability to apply for grants. You have the ability to apply for scholarships. You have the ability to work a full-time job, a part-time job. You have the ability to literally join the military, to where they will give you the GI grant that will pay in full your whole college tuition, as long as you basically do what they tell you to do for the requirements to get that GI Bill. Not to mention, they would also pay for your housing, right? So there's a lot of different ways to really go about getting your degree that does not fall in the lines of getting student loans. And the problem with forgiving student loans is that they're trying to forgive student loans while also still giving out student loans. Do you understand how stupid that actually is, right? Think about it. It's basically like saying, hey, we are going to, let's just say, actually, no, what would be a good way to actually explain this? Okay, we'll put it like this. Basically, it's kind of like the government basically saying like, hey, don't worry. We are going to stop arresting people for them using drugs, right? But also, at the same time, we are still going to criminalize the drug industry, right? Meaning it's going to be harder for people to end up getting access to it, which in turn means that they're going to end up causing very dangerous transactions to take place, causing people to potentially still get addicted to drugs in very bad ways because they can't get it through legal means, right? So, for example, let's say that there are people who keep getting into prison or jail or whatever because they keep doing drugs and it's illegal, right? Well, if the government just says like, oh, don't worry, we're going to stop arresting you for doing drugs, but it's still going to be illegal for you to buy drugs, right? Which means these individuals who are addicted to drugs, meaning it's going to be extremely hard for them to actually even get off of it, they're going to go through processes that are very dangerous and very illegal to get their drugs because they're addicted to it. You see the problem? Like, you can't stop something without first solving the actual problem, right? And this is the problem that this whole student loan situation has, because you have a lot of politicians basically saying like, hey, let's just get rid of all student loan debt, right? And everyone would be like, okay, but you're still going to give out student loan debt, right? How does that make sense, right? That's like someone saying like, hey, I'm going to go on a diet, but my parents are going to keep feeding me cake and pizza every single night. Does that make sense? No, it does not, right? You can't go on a diet if you're going to get fed super bad crap to you every single day. Like, it just does not make sense. It solves nothing, right? It literally solves nothing. So if you want to learn how to get out of debt, go to 40inbox.com.